to the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth. It's the start of season 10. If you still enjoy it, drop a like. That'd be superb. So, we're in the championship. We and Blackhaven, the Leyth Massive, are both in the championship. And as you can see, overall balance, not particularly spectacular. However, I do expect that will change over the course of the season, as there is a lot more money sloshing around in the championship. We're going to get about 4 million just from TV rights this season, and that alone should probably be enough to keep us relatively steady. Because let's face it, we're not spending a great deal of cash. Just looking over here at our wage budget, you can see that we're currently £22,000 under it, and I swear we have more than this, and this seems to change, but we have spent some money on transfers this summer. Not a huge amount, in fairness. I've played a lot of the money into new wages for some players. I've brought in a lot of players that are obviously on slightly larger wages. One particular player who's on quite large wages too, but for our club anyway. Certainly not for the rest of the league, but still. Honestly, I think this is one of the best. I personally think this is one of my favourite transfer winners I've ever done. I was able to find a lot of what I wanted for once, which is very, very rare. Usually I have bright ideas and I have targets, but then I almost never get the targets that I want. And it's kind of been a bit like that this summer as well, but I've managed to find other players that have kind of suited that even more so. But first, there's a couple of things we need to discuss. First is that you might notice this large spike of £15 million outlay. So that is the cost of our new stadium. And it's not great because we've had to finance that mostly through loans. We've sold Castle Park. The board sold Castle Park for £700,000 as well, which means we don't even own our own stadium anymore. And as a result of that, we've been kicked out. We are no longer allowed to play in Castle Park while we're building the new stadium. So yeah, we're going to be sharing with Grimsby on the mainland this year at Blundell Park. Not ideal. The board were basically doing everything they could to get money together, basically. So we got a tiny bank, we got a huge bank loan, a tiny grant, and the sale of Castle Park. But we're now in huge debt, basically, and we need to get ourselves some money fast. And it's sad to see our spiritual home go. The new stadium will have 10,000 capacity with obviously room for expansion for a lot higher than that. Basically, Castle Park didn't meet the requirements, which is actually the reason we're not playing there. It's because we weren't allowed to, basically. It didn't meet the requirements of the championship, which is sad. The board basically had to make a decision, and they did. So we've played our last game at Castle Park, but at least it was a win. So I'm going to need some ideas for the name, because we will be moving in for next season. They're only taking a year to build it, so that's pretty damn cool. Obviously serious names, like we can't call it something silly, but I do want to know what you guys think we should call our brand new stadium. Hopefully it's not just like a stadium in a box like the Leyth Investments Authority. Also, in addition to that, Middlesbrough, no surprises, were the team promoted with us. They beat Sunderland 6-0 in the playoff semi-finals and then beat Notts County in the final. So yeah, that's that. Make of that what you will. I think that's pretty not surprising at all. And I think we've done a pretty good job of hanging on to our players. The only player that we really had a bid on that I didn't want to lose was Neil Cross. Bristol City bid £2.5 million for him. We said no. We had a player talk to him. I think it was Russell Nevitt. He was happy to stay. Crossy, what a legend. He's at Whitport again. It's all good news. And he's still got a contract for another 3 years. So we'll just quickly show you the outs, because there have been a few released players, of course. So here are the players that have left the club. James Dale, gone. Patrick, gone. Adinaran, gone. Harding, I also let go, along with Terry Bishop. I was on the fence about him, but I decided to make the decision in the end. Stanojevic, Jed Vernon, Michael Idahan, and Paul Cinnamon all have left the club this summer. I just felt that we needed a little bit of a clear out, because I think we had a lot of players that were just never going to play for us and never had any potential to play for us, that just needed to basically just needed to leave. And they have. And there's a few more outs as well that haven't gone on free transfers in the same way. So firstly, Dean Quinn, a player I brought in on, I think in January, he's gone out on loan to Morecambe for the year. Connor Teal has moved to Dundalk on a free. Daniel Wilson, the Liberian player we talked about from our youth intake the other season, is actually gone to Shrewsbury on loan. And most amazingly, Daniel Jones, the New Zealand or the Kiwi centre-back, has moved to Galway United. Fair enough, on a loan. They were willing to pay all of his wages, 1.1k. I was like, yes, I think I will do that loan deal. So Franz Sullivan is back on loan, and you might be thinking, how did that happen? So basically, they let his contract sort of get really low. We had the opportunity to offer him a contract. I did, and unfortunately, he said that we wouldn't be able to meet his wage demands. So frustrating that one. But then, and there were other clubs interested, Bristol City signed him to a new deal, and the moment they did that, we were able to swoop in and get him on another loan deal, which was really, really useful. Russell Griggs is back for another season between the sticks on loan from Manchester City. Makes me very, very happy. I think he was exceptional last season for us. Josh Parry is also back on loan from Fulham for another season. His contract, again, is still there. And of course, Dylan Thornley is in on loan from Blackburn for yet another season. I think his contract is up at the end of this summer, and I would like to try and make his deal permanent. This was actually wrapped up quite late. This is Ben Furman, who's coming on loan from West Brom. I was looking at a guy from Leicester, but we essentially ended up going for Furman in the end because he's a bit more versatile, basically. He can play here if we need him to, and he's very, very solid in the defensive side of things. He's not stupidly slow either. I've updated the skin a bit, so players may look slightly worse, but they're not. So I've bumped them all up by 1. So 14 is now the minimum required to get the blue stat. So don't worry if players look slightly worse just on a glance. That's not actually true. So the first player in is Jordan McAnespie, who's coming from Hamilton Academicals over in Scotland. 18-year-old Scottish central defender. Again, now that I've got the Scottish, Welsh and Irish leagues turned on, we can... It's taken a couple of years for them to generate some players, but now we're starting to see some interesting regens starting to come through. Next up is Dale Connor. I showed you him in the analysis video briefly. The Welsh centre-back that I had found from Afan Lido. Joined us on a free transfer, 6'3", not the tallest, not the fastest, but I am going to have him work on that in training because he's already decent on heading, marking and tackling particularly, which means we can actually get a little bit more work on some of his physicals potentially. Next up is the batch of players that I managed to pick up from a few little Premier League players that were sort of released. So the first is Ollie Pratt, who's coming in on free transfers from Liverpool. Just another left-sided option to give us a bit more of a boost there. I brought him in quite early, as you would have known. He's decent physicals. He's tall, he's quick, okay crossing and dribbling, but he can improve with time, of course, and he's still only 18 years old. So I'm giving these guys a chance. I feel like one of them is going to be a breakout for us, basically. We also picked up a young backup goalkeeper called Sam Dickin, who's coming on a free transfer from Chelsea. Very, very cheap, this guy. Well, obviously, we just needed a little bit of backup just in case we get an injury to Russell Griggs. He's not special by any means, but he's 18, so he's got room to grow. Wyn Billington, who I also believe I showed you briefly, is another Welsh striker coming from Manchester United. He looks a bit like Neil Cross in many ways, but he's not. He's very, very good in terms of his quickness. He's a bit more of a diminutive striker. He's very good finishing, very, very quick, very, very good balance as well and agility, which is lovely to see. However, he does lack that composure and off the ball, which is something we're really going to get him working on because his finishing is basically already there. Like, honestly, if this guy's finishing never went above 16, I don't think that would matter to me. What I want to see, though, is trying to get that composure and off the ball up. If we can really get him working on those and see where we can push this guy to. And the last of the sort of Premier League rejects, we actually had quite a good bunch this year, is Jeff Hayes, who's coming on this right-hand side just to give a bit of competition to Ben Johnson and Birch McNaught. Again, because he's got those physicals. Decent crossing, great first touch, very determined, which is nice. Professional personality, which is nice again. 5-year contract as well for Jeff Hayes. I'm obviously going to do the same kind of thing that I did with Birch McNaught, where we sort of move him back down the pitch again. But again, I just feel like we can mould these players into something. One of them is going to take off. I'm starting to think Ben Johnson might get more game time, but again, there's not a huge amount of glaring cons from him. There's no like consistency problems. He's already wanted for a loan spell, I believe. But now, on to some of the more eclectic signings. The first is Sebastian Chan, and this wasn't one of the guys that was in that list of players. We just found this guy randomly. 23 years old. I think he was released by Everton. It's costing us £2,000 a week here, but I just think he's better than Dylan Catley. He's got excellent physicals for a 23-year-old. He's really getting there. Great mentals in a lot of areas too. Crossing and dribbling's fine. Tackling a 12, it's okay, and he's 23, so we've got to bear that in mind, but I definitely think he's a step up over Dylan Catley. Then we've got Vernon Lewis, who I got on a free transfer for this one from Newcastle. Again, the same kind of way as the Everton guy, where they've spent a lot of time all over the shop, basically. But, you know, I built this guy before Ben Furman, the West Brom guy, because I wanted a permanent one there, but when the West Brom guy came up, I thought, you know what, we may as well get a bit of extra options in there too. So he does have a few little things that I'm not super keen on. So the trying of long-range passes with 12 passing and 12 vision might be okay. I don't know. Now on to the most expensive signing of the summer. This is Andreas Holzer, who's coming from Celtic for £200,000. Now, you might look at him and go, he's not great. And I agree, he's not. But my scouts reckoned, and this is the first time they've actually said this, that he has the potential to be a Premier League centre-back. Normally, they don't say that. Even when they're rated 5 stars for me, they still say like, oh, he could be like a good a leading championship player. But this one was like a decent Premier League player. And that makes me think that this guy's got a little bit more... I feel like he could grow much, much quicker with the resolute personality that he's got. I think he might have a really high potential, like beyond what we might imagine. And he may have the potential to grow really quickly if we get him into the right situation. And he's even got a bit of passing about him too. That's interesting, particularly with the long-range passes. We may be able to find a ball over the top or two from Andreas Holzer. I signed Joe Bryan. I couldn't resist, guys. You know I don't normally do the whole older player thing, because the main reason I brought Joe Bryan in is because, yeah, it's Joe Bryan. I couldn't really resist. I saw him available, and I know he's on £6,000 a week, but he's only here for a year, and we had the budget. And I thought, you know what? Just for the memes alone, it's worth bringing Joey Bryan in to play left back with us with Russell Nevitt and see how that battle on the left-hand side goes this year. I just love the idea of Joe Bryan wearing a Whitport shirt at 34 years old. He spent most of his career actually at Rangers, interestingly. 224 appearances there and 7 goals. So, hey, he's at the club now. If I could play the sound clip without getting copyright claimed, I would. But there you go. Joe Bryan's a Whitport player. And now, onto the last guy. I like this guy so much. He might be one of my favourite signings ever. This is Simon Nelson, a 17-year-old who was released by Dungannon Swifts. Now, I say released. My guess is that, and bear in mind, he's already got 46 games for them, which is crazy when you think about how many, that must be over, like, what on earth? So bear in mind, he's 17 now. Like, 16, was he playing for them when he was 15? Because it looks like it. The thing about this guy is, firstly, I was just looking, I didn't even notice the one thing that some of you may have noticed until we'd actually signed him at that point. I just saw 17-year-old, 5-star potential, solid enough physicals, could get a bit quicker, but he's not too bad as it is to begin with, to be fair, as a 6'3" player. 15 crossing and 12 dribbling, 14 first. Basically, none of the stuff for that wing role are below 12. In fact, okay, off the ball as well, but we can get him working on that. He's also a model citizen. I've not ever had a model citizen at one of my clubs, I don't think. And he's 17. I can't believe this guy. This might be one of the best signings I've ever actually found. Now, obviously, like I said, I don't think he was released by them as much as let his contract expire so he could move to another club. But when I found him, no other club was interested in him. There was no want on him or anything. There was no other bids on the table. I couldn't believe it. This genuinely might be I feel like I've struck gold with this guy. I genuinely think he could be our starting left winger in the Championship at 17, and he's got insane potential. He must have insane potential. I can't believe how good this guy already is. Yeah, £25,000, I should say, actually. There was, oh, sorry, yeah, he wasn't released by them, of course, it was £25,000. We did actually have to pay them for him. But still, 25 grand for this. I cannot stress this enough. I absolutely adore this guy. He even has the work rate that we want from that left-hand side of the team. Nuts. If he could just get that pace up a tiny little bit more and work on a few little... I mean, he's got so much time to work on that stuff too. I actually can't believe this guy. So there we go. That completes our signings for the season. I'm pretty happy with it too, to be fair. I think the squad we had probably could have done okay for us in this division, but I do think we've strengthened in the right places, and particularly with this man here. So we're starting off today against Brentford. Blackhaven will host Swansea City. Yeah, so basically, season preview. We're expected to come second from bottom. Amazingly, Fleetwood are predicted to come higher than us. Blackhaven are predicted 15th. They have spent some money, but not that much. Oh, I tell a lie, they have signed a load of players that I didn't realise they'd done. Okay, so since the window's shut, I'm going to show you this now because why the hell not? So firstly, they brought in Neil Tank from Chelsea. I've had my eye on this guy for a few seasons. He never wanted to join us on loan, but both Middlesbrough and Blackhaven were in for this guy in the summer. And yeah, they spent £8.5 million on him. Got Dale Evans on a free transfer from Fulham. They've also got Jason Cummings on this left-hand side here. They've got Luke Noble from Peterborough to play centre-back for them. They've got Jan Zambarek from Brentford for like £3 or £4 million to come to them as well. They've got Alexander Jankovic to go from Ipswich to them as well for like £3 or £4 million. Yeah, these guys, I didn't even notice they'd signed them. And lastly, they've got Christian Kramer on loan from Bournemouth. Oh my God, what a winger this guy is. Christian Kramer, £65,000 a week. Do you reckon they're actually paying that full wage? He's a Danish international. So, I mean, Marco Silva's Brentford. Let's just see what's going to happen here. We're going to do a selection of ice, obviously. So, Cross and Sullivan up there, of course. Nelson and Birch McNair, although I'm actually tempted to start Ben Johnson today because you saw what we did in the analysis video and we liked him a lot. Still not entirely sold yet on whether to make this a defensive midfielder. Do let me know your thoughts here, guys, about what I should make this role. I.e. using the players we have, remember. Because I'm tempted to maybe make it a defensive midfielder just to maybe get a little bit more out of the player there because I feel like we're wasting the potential of the player who plays there. Backline, Nevitt, Knight, Parry, Chan, Griggs and goal. Obviously, we'll have Joe Bryan available on the bench, presumably. But we just need to get his match fitness up a little bit, so he'll definitely come off the bench today. So for today, that's going to be our lineup with the bench being Kylie, Dale Connor, Dave Morton, Wyn Billington, Joe Bryan, love saying that, Vernon Lewis and Jeff Hayes. Right then, let's have this. First game in the Championship for us at the Brentford Community Stadium. Oh, for once, it's actually so cold in this room right now that this jacket is giving me comfort in warmth, which is surprising. As Forest take the lead against Fleetwood very, very early doors. I just want to see what Nelson can do on his debut for us, really. I'm excited about this kid. Chan, come on, son. He's into the box already. Can he square it for someone? He does, and Johnson's got this down. He's going to have another go. Oh, Crossy was just offside there, but his poaching instincts were right on cue there where you want them to be. Life in the Championship already a tough one for Blackhaven as they oh, please, not us. Okay. Do you remember at the start of last season, right? When we made no changes to the tactic, and yet in the first 5 games, we got tons of red cards for seemingly no reason, and then there were barely any for the rest of the year. Is that going to happen again? That's probably just a complete blip, but I want to monitor this. Knight. Now, obviously, there's a much higher quality of team here, and there's going to be some really, really good sides in this division. Oh, dear. Flynn downs with a header, makes it 1-0 to Brentford. Poor goalkeeping there from Russell Griggs, to be honest. He has to be doing better with that. That's practically straight at him there from Downs. The defenders did look a little bit all over the shop there, as Furman's kind of having to do it all by himself here. Good tackle from Furman initially, but nobody tracks the run from Downs, and that's not even the big problem here. This is straight down his throat. It's quite powerful, though. We're getting a lot of yellow cards and a lot of fouls. It could just be that because we're playing against a higher quality of opposition, that we're just not equipped for it. Good tackle, and he's got it straight back. A lot of our tackles are going straight back to them today. It's one of those games where we're just not quite able to, prevent any tackle going straight back to a Brentford player. And again, would have been good if he'd looked the other way. There you go. Now find Nelson. Or just don't. Here we go. Nelson's got it now. A little bit of room to go at people, perhaps. Drops it back for Ben Furman. We've got no playmaker today, which might actually be a problem. We might have to change that. Cross. Nevitt. Put it on Sullivan's head. And he has done, and Sullivan at least gets our first shot on target of the season, I suppose. I'm going to make Furman the DLP, just so that we've got someone to actually play a pass or two in the second period. Connolly with the ball through, and a good save. Barlow. All the way through. Oh, dearie me. Even the headers are going back to him now. Maybe if Crossy makes that run through the middle, which he hasn't done. Now he has. Neil Cross is in. Oh, and a big save from Machado. That is a great piece of play. Parry. Just straight into the channel for Sullivan. They've literally been caught out here. Cross needs to get across. He won't. Sullivan. Oh, and again. Oh, Jeff Hayes. And a big save again by the goalkeeper. Second half has been really good from us, in fairness. We're actually finding a bit of space in this second period now. Somehow. Nevitt. Oh, dear. But he's gone back to Knight. That's fine. Oh, wow. Good save again by Griggs. That's just, that's amateurish defending. Furman. Looking long for Billington. When Billington's in behind, he's going to get the shot away here, and he's missed. Oh, no. Oh, God, what a chance that was for Billington. He's managed to hit the post with it. It's a great strike, but it just dinked off the post right when that could have been the equaliser for us. We've actually created some good chances here. Second half's been really good from us. Parry got room. I don't think he's got the crossing ability on it. That's why they're not closing him down. But Nelson! Barlow's ball in. Edge of the box for Knight. Oh, God. Deary me. You hate to see it, don't you? 2-0 to Brentford. We've had 10 then for much of this match. So 2-0 isn't really that surprising. But honestly, a goalkeeping mistake and a shot from the edge of the area from a set piece. Just the 4 Brentford players stood around the goalkeeper there. It's just the 4 of them. There's still a lot of positives to take from this game in terms of our attacking threat. And I don't know how we would have played had we actually had the full complement of players for the full 90 minutes. Because we've been pretty good. 3 good chances that we haven't taken. And I think Brentford are one of the better sides in this division as well. I believe they've already been in the Premier League in this save. So they're not going to be down here this season, I don't expect. There we go. Brentford... No. Yeah, there we go. Brentford 0. Sorry, Brentford 2, Whitport 0. Poor from us. We didn't take our chances when they were presented to us, but we did at least create them. Conceded 2 poor goals, really. One was a goalkeeping error for me, although... maybe not. And the second one was just poor from us from a corner from the edge of the box. They did at least have some interesting set-piece plays. Blackhaven earn a draw at the end, coming from 2-0 down. It's a shame, but I don't think it's the end of the world. We've got a lot of work to do, for sure. But, we don't get to skip the EFL Cup first round. Haha, brilliant. So yeah, next episode we're going to come back straight away for Aston Villa at Blundell Park. It's not easy. This one's not going to be any easier either. This is going to be a tough old league, but we're going to stick to our style and try and play some good football. We're going to concede a lot of goals this year for sure, but we're going to try and stay up by playing the way we want to play. So if you've enjoyed this episode and you're looking forward to the new season, drop a like, that'd be lovely. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, that'd be lovely too. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. I stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and usually Saturdays. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you for coming. Hold your gun, capybara. Bye-bye.